Hello and welcome back to my channel, and in this video we're going to be talking about John chapter 21 verses 15 to 17. But hey, if this is your first time here, my name is Tim and I'm a pastor here in New Jersey, and the whole vision behind my channel is to help grow your faith one video at a time. And so if that's something that appeals to you, please support my channel by hitting that subscribe button. And with that said, let's get into it. And today's Bible story happens after Jesus rose from the dead. But before we get there, let me set us up with some other stories before Jesus died and rose from the dead. So when Jesus was on earth, he spent a lot of his time with 12 of his disciples. And some of them were Peter, James, and John, and 9 other people. But today we're going to specifically focus on Peter. Now, Peter was a fisherman before he became a disciple of Jesus, and so he gave up fishing just to follow Jesus. And Peter ended up being one of Jesus's closest disciples. Now, Peter had some high moments and some very low moments with Jesus. You see, Peter was the type of person to speak and to do things without even thinking. But at the end of the day, Peter always stood by Jesus. He was a fiercely loyal man. But there was one night, the night of Jesus' arrest and trial, where Peter made a big mistake. I'm talking about huge mistake, like huge mistake. While the religious leaders were trying to figure out what to do next, Peter stood at a distance in the courtyard, and this was what happened next. Wait, aren't you Peter, like one of Jesus' disciples? No, what do you mean? No, I mean, Jesus, I don't know who he is. No, I'm pretty sure you're friends with Jesus. I saw you together like last week. I mean, your jacket literally says friend of Jesus. Wait, here? You don't know how to read. Peter denied knowing Jesus 3 times. And what's even crazier is that Jesus predicted that this would happen. So, imagine how Peter must have felt at this time. I mean, he told Jesus that he would never leave him, but that's exactly what he did. So he broke a promise to Jesus. He denied knowing Jesus not once, not twice, but 3 times. So imagine how terrible Peter must have felt. He abandoned and he let down Jesus right before his death. But thankfully, that's not how the story ends, because 3 days later, Jesus conquered death and he rose to life just like he promised. And after Jesus came back to life, he appeared to his disciples and they had breakfast together. And after they finished eating, Jesus took some time to speak to Peter. Peter was probably really nervous right now. I mean, he denied Jesus 3 times. So was Jesus mad at him? Did Jesus still love him? Well, this is how the conversation went. When they had finished eating, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" "Yes, Lord," he said, "you know that I love you." Jesus said, "Feed my lambs." Again, Jesus said, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" He answered, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said, "Take care of my sheep." The 3rd time he said to him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was hurt because Jesus asked him the 3rd time, "Do you love me?" He said, "Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you." Jesus said, "Feed my sheep." Why did Jesus tell Peter to feed his sheep 3 times? I mean, what was Jesus trying to do? Well, remember how Peter denied Jesus 3 times? Yes. Well, Jesus was forgiving and restoring Peter for those 3 denials. And so Jesus not only forgave his past mistakes, but Jesus was also preparing him for the future. Jesus gave Peter a very important mission, and that was to feed his people with the gospel. Okay, before we continue on, coffee break. Good. Okay, so here's the truth. You and I are just like Peter. Some of us, we might be embarrassed to share our faith, and maybe some of us, we've done certain things that maybe God told us not to do. But here's what we learn from the story of Peter, and that is that we can be forgiven through Jesus Christ. Just as how Peter was forgiven and restored, even though he denied Jesus 3 times, we can also be forgiven for our past mistakes when we trust and we confess our sins in Jesus Christ. I mean, this is why Jesus came to this world. He loves you and me so much that he died on the cross so that our sins can be forgiven and so that we can be restored. And the reason why Jesus did that was because simply he's just a good friend to you and to me. And I get it. It's so easy and it's so tempting to get revenge at our friends for what they have done to us. But when we look at the cross and when we look at what Jesus has done for you and for me, right? We betrayed Jesus. We have hurt Jesus so many times, yet he still forgave us. And why did he do that? Because he is a good friend to us. And so, as followers of Jesus Christ, we are also called to forgive our friends, especially when they have hurt us and when they have betrayed us. And I guarantee you that when we do this, we will be set free. This is the best way to live because this is what God is like. And so if there's anything that you remember from today, I hope that you would remember our bottom line, and it is this: friends forgive one another. And so with that said, Pastor Tim out. What the heck? How did I get here?
Did you use hand sanitizer?
Oh, I forgot. Can I get some?
Sure.
Thank you. Hey, tell them what we had to do.
Remember, always wash your hands. And with that said,
Pastor Tim out.
Hi guys.